Hello and welcome back, consumers. I'm Altari, the professional gamer, and this is another PAX Friday review, the show where we talk about all of the fun, interesting, new, and exciting information that has dropped for PAX Day over the last week. This week, we got some light information with regards to a much anticipated plot cleanup coming to a home valley near you, as well as a potential feature that could be coming in the farther future, which is character transfers. We're going to talk about all of that and a little bit more in today's episode. But before we get to that, I just wanted to reiterate an announcement that we made last week that starting in the month of August, every Monday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we are going to be streaming on your favorite streaming platforms, either YouTube or Twitch. And I say either, but you can join us on both if you really wanted to. That being said, if you enjoy our content, don't forget to like this video after you've watched it. If you do enjoy it, subscribe so that you can be notified whenever we come out with new PAX Day related videos, and share with any of your friends who might be interested in PAX Day. Let's go ahead and get to all of this week's news, and I'll see you on the flip side. All right, so here we are on PAX Day's official Discord, and like I said, there was really light news this week, and we're actually going to talk about most likely why that is, or I think it is, in the latter half of this video. But in terms of the substantive news that we got this week, specifically, there is another planned round of plot cleanups that are going to be coming in probably the next month, is what it looks like. And they said that it's going to be similar to the one that was conducted a few weeks ago. This next round is going to aim to free up more space so that we can get current players or people who are looking to continue to play the game playing together. I know that's been a really big problem over the last several days, if not weeks at this point. I know that there's been a lot of people who are trying to come and join us on Dolavan, on Danu, and it's been virtually impossible because you can't physically build or place a plot down in Dolavan on our server. So that has led people to going to Tremin, which is right next to it. And that is now looking like it's about to get full. So there is a lot of filling up that is occurring, but there's also a lot of unused plots still. So it's going to be interesting to see how those work in the coming weeks before we get this wipe. I don't know. They haven't given any information on exactly what the selection criteria is for an inactive plot. Previously, it was just looking for characters that don't exist because they refunded the game. This makes it sound like there might be something more with players who haven't done anything on their plots yet. Now, for some of you, that might be concerning to hear because you might have placed a plot and intend to build something on it, but you just haven't done so yet. So you're gonna want to stay tuned on that and make sure that you're not forgetting about it. Otherwise, you might lose that plot, even though there's nothing built on it. That means you might lose your position or the ability to build at a specific location or on a specific home valley that you were saving a spot on and you just haven't gotten to it yet because maybe you're building with other friends or something like that and you just wanted to save that spot. So stay tuned on that. We will make sure to cover it on this channel, and I promise that you will have a heads up with that, or I hope that promise can be made. I don't think Mainframe's going to try and screw anyone over here, but just be on the lookout for that. Then next up, Mainframe also mentioned character transfers being in the plans. Now, this I find to be a little bit of a mixed bag. My personal opinion on character transfers is that they can really make for unstable servers because you have a lot of boom and bust. So in a situation where you're on a server and you burn all of those bridges with your community, or you did something bad or whatever it is, and then you just pick up and you leave. And sometimes that can be great. And I understand that that needs to be a feature, but other times it reduces the social accountability of players. And also, if something isn't really going well, or maybe the population's kind of dying, what ends up happening, especially if character transfers are done like they are in New World, what ends up happening is character transfers just hurt the people who stay. They never hurt the people who leave. The people who leave are going to go to a new server. They're going to get involved in a new environment, whatever. But the people who stay are the ones that get punished because there's less people around. And it's not on a fault of their own. So New World did this where they charged for character transfers, and that really, really hurt a lot of players and didn't give them choice. It took away the choice from the player, and it made them have to pay in order to go and play with their friends again. And I found that to be a really toxic monetization feature, and I really hope that Mainframe hears this and understands, which I'm sure they already do, that doing something like that is not okay. You shouldn't have to effectively pay again in order to continue playing a character because other people whom you don't control have decided to go and play on a different server. That's just my 2 cents. It's great that the actual feature is coming, because there are a lot of times where you're playing on a server, you're playing with a bunch of people, and then it turns out that they weren't as passionate about the game as you thought they were, and now it's just you, and you have a high-level character, you've invested a lot of time and effort, and now you have something that you don't have anyone else to play with. So you'd much rather transfer that and move it over to somewhere else that you can actually use that character that you've invested that time into. That's really, really important. But it also gets very, very rough when you're planning these things out, because like I said, they can lead to booms and busts on servers where populations massively are shifting away from places or coming to. And really what it's doing is it just ends up hurting players especially when character transfers are something that cost money. I hope Mainframe doesn't cost money to do character transfers. It's not an incentive or disincentive. It's just a way to pull money from players, and it's really, really toxic and only hurts the people who stay. So I hope that doesn't happen here. But again, good feature. So another thing that I wanted to talk about for today, a lot of people have been wondering, when's the next patch coming out? When's the next update? Some people have been talking about what they think the next update is, and there hasn't been any new official information that's been given out by the developers. But for any of you who are just tuning in, maybe you weren't around for this July timeframe that we're in right now, but if you're unfamiliar, a lot of the time around July in the summer, that is when the various employees in companies that are located in Europe have a tendency to take off for holiday. A lot of them end up being out for almost the entirety of July and sometimes going into August. This was the exact same kind of like blackout period that we had for last year when it comes to new information, but then we got really big updates going into August and September. So I think that's kind of where we're at right now, and why there's a lot of just light news weeks when it comes to new information. But we know that there's a lot of stuff coming. We have knighthoods that are up in probably the next major patch update. That's my own opinion on that. And with knighthoods, we already know, and this is something that a couple of other content creators have spoken about, is that knighthoods and religion in game are tied together. So when you have a knighthood, you have to be anointed, and the anointment process includes a new resource called grace. Grace is something that comes from the parish system or the religious system or the church system in game. So that means whenever we get knighthoods, we're also going to be getting the religious system and all of that. And I feel like that would be a great time for Mainframe to also introduce new things like magic, or not new things like magic, but new spells in the magic category. And I think that we're going to have a pretty sizable update for all of that. On this channel, we don't try to cover any of the data mine stuff. I'm avidly opposed to the data mine stuff. I think that's actually a real value, because then that means 99% of the time you're safe to watch these videos and not just have random spoilers pop up for the game. And I want everyone to be able to experience the game just like I'm experiencing it. So if you do see a video that looks like it might have a spoiler in it, chances are if it says spoiler in the title, don't click on it if you don't want it. But either way, I digress. The fact of the matter is, I think that we're in kind of this little blackout period in the month of July while everyone at Mainframe, or a lot of people at Mainframe, are taking time off, going on vacation, prepping for that next content update. I do think that there is kind of like a rolling blackout period at their studios. And then it also goes without saying that one of the studios at Mainframe is located in Paris. And in case anyone hasn't been watching, the Paris Olympics just opened up, so there might be some potential delays and stuff with regards to that. I don't really know. I've never lived in a city that has an Olympics going on in it, but I feel like there will be some disruptions there too, especially if you have people who are trying to take time off to go and enjoy a historic event like an Olympics being hosted in their home city. So all of that being said, I am really excited to see what's going to be coming in the weeks to come. And we have a lot of videos planned to come out in the next couple of weeks. We had 3 amazing videos that came out this week as well. Next week, we're going to be diving into building a cathedral, and we're also going to be talking about a lore update. This is going to be an ultimate lore compendium, everything that we know up until this point. It's something that I have probably spent the last year thinking about, but it's something that we're actually going to do now. It's been requested a couple of times, and I want to make sure that everyone gets on the same foot when we're talking about lore. So if you haven't done so already, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can get notified whenever we post new Pax Day related stuff. And until the next video, I'm Eltari, the Professional Gamer.